Welcome to another film review here on the Geek Boulevard channel. I am your host, Steve. I love movies and I love video games. I was finally able to head to my local theater to see The Marvels, and I will give my honest opinion on the movie and my overall score. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, and tick the bell to be notified when a new video drops. The movie has been out for a little bit, but I will be going into spoilers. You have been warned. The Marvels is directed by Nia DaCosta. It is rated PG-13 with a runtime of 1 hour and 45 minutes. Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel, has reclaimed her identity from the tyrannical Kree and taken revenge on the Supreme Intelligence. However, unintended consequences see her shouldering the burden of a destabilized universe. When her duties send her to an anomalous wormhole linked to a Kree revolutionary, her powers become entangled with two other superheroes to form the Marvels. The Marvels has had a turbulent production, to say the least, with a ballooning budget of over $200 million and extensive reshoots and delays, but the film is officially in theaters now. And does it turn the tide of the lack of quality that has plagued Marvel Studios ever since the Multiverse Saga started? Sadly, The Marvels does not do that. In fact, it solidifies this notion even further. Before we get into that, let's start with the good that is in this film. Firstly, being our main stars. Teyonah Parris, Brie Larson, and Iman Vellani just have the best chemistry when they're on screen together. There's a funny little montage of them trying to master their powers as their abilities have been entangled, which forces them to switch places whenever they use them. They just look to be having a ball together, and I love seeing that unfold on screen. The fight scenes when they are using their powers and end up switching were quite inventive, and the way they played with that idea a bit in those scenes were fun to watch. The highest mark, though, would be Iman Vellani as Miss Marvel. Iman is a die-hard Marvel fan in real life, and it shows on screen. Her reaction to officially meeting Carol Danvers is pretty much how we all would react if we were to meet our favorite superheroes. I enjoy the Miss Marvel series despite its pacing issues, and Iman's role in the story of the Marvels just made me want to see more of her, so fingers crossed that we get a season 2. And now we move on to my negatives. Better buckle up. You may have heard this said a lot in other reviews, and I'm going to repeat that same sentiment here. This movie was made by committee, and what I mean by that is that even though DaCosta is credited as director, this did not feel like a Nia DaCosta movie. It feels as she was there for a little bit to continue the larger story, and then was told by Marvel and Disney, okay, we'll take it from here. The film is edited very weirdly. When scenes transition from one location to another, it never feels cohesive in any way. It's almost as if whole sequences were just missing, resulting in odd pacing issues. Our main characters, while great together, individually, outside of Kamala Khan of course, are not developed well at all. Carol Danvers is still a sort of stiff character with not a lot of backstory to her. Brie Larson and Teyonah Parris are phenomenal actresses, so it frustrates me that they weren't given a lot of depth to work with. There is a hint of that earlier into the film that deals with Carol destroying the Supreme Intelligence while the film's villain, Dar-Benn, played by Zawe Ashton, tries to stop her. This puts Carol in the position of asking herself, am I really a hero? This act has led the Kree's homeworld to perish. The air is not breathable and their sun is dying. But it's a very quick glance at that character study and just swept under the rug. As for Monica, she still harbors a slight grudge towards Carol for leaving her behind 30 years ago. Honestly, I thought the way her character showed that grudge was ill-advised, as Carol is a cosmic superhero who is needed in multiple galaxies. She has bigger problems, so maybe lighten up a little. Also, there was a huge inconsistency with their light-based powers. Due to the ancient bangle that Dar-Benn uses to open portals in space-time, Carol, Monica, and Kamala's powers become entangled with one another. Every time they use their abilities, they switch places. The issue with this is that there are multiple moments in the film where they use their powers and they don't switch, but other times they do. It's very confusing. Sam Jackson makes his return as Nick Fury, and for those who have not seen Secret Invasion, I envy you and I implore you to not watch it. Not only is that series horrible, but the Nick Fury in that project is completely different compared to this one. You could even argue that this Fury is a variant of some kind. The inconsistencies in this film are just outrageous. There was a sequence in particular that really made me cringe, and that is when the Marvels fly to the planet Aladna, which we find out Carol is actually a princess on this planet due to a legal dispute and is married to their prince. On this planet, the only way they communicate is with song and dance. It is at this point that the film becomes a musical, and I was just not on board for it. Finally, we have our antagonist, Dar-Ben. Marvel tends to have this issue when it comes to their villains, with the exceptions being Wenwu from Shang-Chi, Killmonger from Black Panther, and of course Thanos from the Avengers films. They are always underutilized and only serve to move the bigger story along. They're just a stepping stone. Dar-Ben is actually worse than that. She makes Malekith look like Joker in comparison. There's a little bit of her backstory that ties into Carol's decision to destroy the Supreme Intelligence, and in a sense was created because of Carol. It becomes a cheap revenge mission for her, and I could not care less about it. As with all Marvel Studios films, there is an end credits tag, but before that, we get Kamala seeking out Kate Bishop to start the Young Avengers, and I thought it was fine. It felt like a scene Marvel had always meant to set up at some point, but just forgot and then just remembered somehow and decided to just include it in this movie. And then the big one, a mid-credit scene of Monica Rambeau, who wakes up in a different universe with a variant of her mother, in this universe known as Binary, and the one and only Beast, so she's actually in the X-Men universe, played by Kelsey Grammer, who is fully CGI, which just was odd. I don't understand why they couldn't have used practical makeup for that. It felt very tacked on and made the overall film feel like more setup rather than an individual story with hints of the grander tale. Overall, I'm scoring the Marvels 1 star out of 5. It has good moments like its inventive action scenes and its chemistry with the main cast, Iman Vellani being the standout. However, when the characters are standalone, they lack depth. The logic behind their light-based entanglement is wildly inconsistent and does the Nick Fury character a huge disservice. Dar-Ben is another underwhelming villain with no clear motivation. It felt like a setup film for the grander tale rather than an individual story with heart. Is the film fun? Sure, but we've had fun Marvel movies before. It just doesn't cut it anymore. Now I throw it to you guys. What did you think of the Marvels? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, folks, keep it classy and keep it geeky.